In June 1967, a young Israeli tank commander looked through his binoculars across the Syrian border. He was expecting to see Soviet T-55s. Instead, he saw a ghost. Rolling toward him was a square, boxy tank with a long 75mm gun and a muzzle brake he recognized from history books. It was a German Panzer IV, a Nazi tank painted in sand colors, attacking the Jewish state 22 years after Hitler died. How did this happen? How did the machines of the Wehrmacht escape the scrapyards of Europe to fight one last war in the desert? To find the answer, we have to go back to the very beginning.
May 8, 1945. Germany surrenders. The war in Europe is over. The Allied armies, American, British, and Soviet, find themselves in possession of millions of tons of enemy steel. Thousands of Tigers, Panthers, and Panzer IVs are scattered across fields from Normandy to Berlin. For the Allies, these machines are a nuisance. They're blocking roads and fields. The order comes down from Supreme Headquarters: destroy them. The Americans and British begin a massive scrapping operation. They blow them up. They cut them into pieces to rebuild bridges. They drive them into the sea. The Soviet Union takes a few hundred for testing and target practice, but they melt down the rest. By the end of 1945, it seems like the German Panzer is extinct. But there is one country that isn't destroying them. One country is desperately hiding them: France.
In 1946, the French army is in a crisis. They are one of the victors, but their army is humiliated. They have almost no heavy equipment of their own. They're relying entirely on American handouts, mostly Sherman tanks. The French generals hate the Sherman. They think it is weak, tall, and undergunned. But they know where to find better tanks. In the French countryside, they find dozens of abandoned German Panther or Panzer V tanks. Many of them aren't destroyed, they just ran out of gas or had minor breakdowns during the retreat. The French government makes a secret, pragmatic decision. They gather these Nazi tanks. They find 2 surviving German repair factories. They even force German POW mechanics to get back to work. They create the 503rd Tank Regiment. This is an official unit of the French army, equipped almost entirely with German Panthers. For the next 4 years, if you watched a French military parade, you would see the pride of France rolling down the street, and it was a German tank. But by 1949, reality sets in. The Panther is a high-maintenance diva. The French logs from this time are full of complaints. The engines catch fire, the transmissions break every 150 kilometers. The French struggle to make spare parts. By 1950, France creates its own new tank, the ARL-44. They park the Panthers and Panzer IVs in warehouses. They are now just expensive junk taking up space. France needs to get rid of them, and as luck would have it, a new buyer appears in the Middle East.
The 1950s. The Cold War is freezing over, but the Middle East is burning. The new state of Israel is arming itself with British Centurions and upgraded American Shermans. Its neighbor, Syria, is terrified. The Syrian army needs tanks, fast, but they are poor, and the Soviet Union hasn't fully committed to sending them modern T-55s yet. Syria goes shopping in Europe. They knock on France's door. France sees an opportunity to clear out their warehouses. They quietly offer to sell their stocks of German Panzer IVs, Sturmgeschütz 3 assault guns, and a handful of Jagdpanzers. It is a bizarre political twist. France, a victim of Nazi aggression, sells Nazi weapons to an Arab state to fight a Jewish nation. The deal is signed. Spain and Czechoslovakia also sell their refurbished German stocks to Syria. Hundreds of these World War II relics are loaded onto ships.
they cross the Mediterranean. They are unloaded in Latakia. The Syrians paint over the dark German gray with yellow desert sand, but if you scratch the paint, the Iron Cross is still underneath. Fast forward to 1964, the war over water. Syria attempts to divert the Jordan River to cut off Israel's water supply. Tension explodes along the border. The Syrians move their German tanks up to the Golan Heights. They know these tanks are too old to maneuver in the desert heat. The engines will overheat. So they use them as snipers. They dig the Panzer IVs into the rocky hills. Only the turrets are visible. They become static pillboxes, looking down into the Israeli valleys. The shooting starts. Down in the valley, Israeli tank crews are driving Super Shermans, WW2 American tanks upgraded with powerful French guns. Up on the hill, the Syrians are firing German Panzer IVs. It is a historical paradox. The two main tanks of World War II, the Sherman and the Panzer, are dueling again 20 years later, manned by Jews and Arabs. The Israelis are confused at first. They report enemy tanks with muzzle brakes. Intelligence confirms it. They are fighting the Wehrmacht's leftovers. The Israelis use long-range gunnery to pick them off. In one famous engagement, Israeli General Tau destroys a Panzer IV at extreme range, but the Syrians keep repairing them until the final showdown.
June 1967, the Six-Day War. Israel launches a massive preemptive attack. On the northern front, Israeli armored brigades charge up the steep slopes of the Golan Heights. This is the final battle for the German tanks. The Syrian Panzer IVs and Stug 3s try to hold the line. They fire their 75mm shells at the advancing Centurions and Shermans. But 1940s technology cannot stop 1960s rage. The Israeli tanks have better optics and stabilizers. The Syrian Panzers are stationary targets. One by one, they are knocked out. As the Syrian army retreats, they abandon the vehicles that won't start. When the smoke clears, Israeli soldiers climb into the Syrian bunkers. They find the tanks intact. They check the serial numbers. They find markings from the Krupp steelworks in Essen, dated 1943. They find Sturmgeschütz, Stug 3 assault guns that had once fought on the Russian front, now burning in the Middle East. The journey is over.
The Israelis towed the survivors back to their depots. For a brief moment, Israel considered selling them to collectors, but mostly they were used for target practice or put in museums. Today, if you go to the La-Shiryon Museum in Latrun, Israel, you can see one. It is a German Panzer IV. It was built to destroy the enemies of the Third Reich, but it ended its life fighting for Syria, only to be captured and put on display by the Jewish state. It is the ultimate irony of war. The soldiers die, the causes change, but the weapons live on. If you enjoyed this timeline of the Panzer's secret life, hit that like button, and let me know in the comments, why do you think France kept the Panthers? Was it desperation or genius? I'll see you in the next one.